Hello, hi viewers, welcome back to our channel. I hope you're having a satisfactory day, and if you're not, I pray that divine energy gives you that strength to endure. So today, as I said in the last video, we are going to talk about the process of writing and publishing, self-publishing a book. Let's jump right into it. So the process has 5 main stages. You have the pre-writing stage, number 1, which is where you're jotting your ideas, you're building on the ideas, you're arranging the ideas, you're rearranging, you're omitting, you're replacing, and that is like a lot of repeat. You do the same thing, jot, rearrange, omit, replace. That time frame can take about from 3 months to 3 years, depending on the subject matter. If you have to do interviews, like if you're interviewing people, if it's something that you have to do research on, that could take a long time. Mine took about a year. The whole pre-writing process took about 1 year. I started in October 2017. Then we're on to the drafting. That took another year, from drafting to editing. That's the other stage. The drafting, basically, now we're dealing with structure. You structure your notes. You come up with the first official draft. You're trying to come up with the first official draft. So it's about structuring your notes. Some writers go through like 10 different drafts before they actually have a proper manuscript that say, okay, this is what they're going to use to, do the editing on or send to the editors. So drafting can take about a year to put them in place, put everything in line, put this idea here, you switch up the idea, okay, this doesn't flow here, you put this before or after some other ideas just to get it to flow. Then you have editing. Oh my goodness. Now this is the beginning of irritation and testing of your patience. Some people edit it themselves or get their friends to do it, but it's always advised that you get a professional editor or somebody you have no affiliation with, that you don't know them, because they're gonna basically rip your work apart. They're gonna say, okay, can you writing something and you think, oh yes, this is good, my goodness, this is right, and then you send it to the editor and they're like, okay, sometimes a whole paragraph or a whole chapter, they're like, okay, so this is not really working. So it's best to get somebody to, you get your friends to read it, you get your friends to look over your stuff, give their feedback. But when the editing part comes, it's best to get it, to send it out to somebody. All right, this part of it, oh my goodness, they have forms, questionnaires, a whole bunch of, every minute they reach another part, it's a questionnaire. Basically, they're trying to pick your brain to get an idea of what is what you see, what's your vision, what's your image, what is it that you see in the book. They want to know your genre, they want to know your target audience, they want to know the book cover and back cover details, visual creatives, what tools we're going to use to appeal to your target audience. What else they want to know? What type of, oh my god, know the type of editing. What type of editing you want? Is it developmental editing, structural editing, proofreading? It's so much. The editing part, oh my goodness. They're checking for grammar, of course, punctuation, clarity. But it's so much back and forth, because you have to be sending the document to them. They send it back to you when they finish writing up. Then you send it back. Then they send it back to you. You will want to quit. You will want to quit at this point. Trust me. This part is a lot, because every minute they can send in a questionnaire for you to, fill out. They're asking you all sorts of questions just to get an idea of how your book will look and all of that. I used a publishing company named Elite Authors. They're the ones who help to bring the whole process from the, beginning to the end. Then we have publishing. More questionnaires. But this part mostly dealing with file preparations, file formatting, file conversion, ISBN number, and publishing rights. Uploading criteria, whether the trim size, what is the trim size, what is the bleed settings. Oh my goodness. And yes, you will want to quit again. But because you've come so far, you're too far in, you can't bother quit. You put in too much thing from pre-writing, drafting, editing. You just can't quit now. So you have to go through, do the questionnaires, the whole all the hiccups with uploading issues, all the hiccups with file formatting and all of that. You get through that. Now for the part that I do not like at all, and I don't think any writer like this part, because we're not in it for this part. Marketing. I'm still at that stage, and I don't know. I'm not even going to put that. I'm not even going to focus a lot on it. So the little tips that they give you on Amazon, you follow them and you do them. But there's a whole different section, a whole different industry, a whole different thing when it comes on to marketing. Because gone are the days when it was the norm for writers to be anonymous. You wrote under a pseudonym, you had a pen name, you didn't, there was this, I liked the anonymous nature of it. People didn't know who writers really were. You just read the material and you loved the material. But now, oh my God, it's like you have to take a whole lesson in marketing and this and that. And I don't like that stage. I'm still at that stage, and I don't know how that's going to work because I do not like that stage. I wanted to write, and like most writers, you just want to write your thing. You want to write, give it to the people who have their feel is to market. So that takes a lot of money, and marketing takes a lot of money. Yeah, that's the next part, and it's not a surety that you want to the amount of money you invest in marketing, if you're going to get that back. I mean, the whole process of completing the book already take money. It takes time, take effort, and it takes money. For each of these stages, you have to pay a fee. Especially when you touch on to the editing, all of that editing to publishing, that's where all the money, it takes a lot of money for that part. The pre-writing and drafting, you're doing that yourself, so that's fine. Now about the book. The book is not about INFPs. The title is Thoughts of an INFP. So it's not about INFP, which is basically just a personality type. And we'll get into that, the whole issue of INFP in another video later on. But it's about my views on life, on love, on death, on friendship, and all those issues that plague humankind, basically. It's 12 chapters of different topics, which is each topic is an issue that plagues humankind, and it's my views on them. The genre it fell into general body, mind, and spirit. That's the category that based on all the questions and based on the content of the book, that's the genre that it fits mostly in. General body, mind, and spirit. The second subcategory I think is self-help. The purpose and the aim of the book is basically to share my perspective and how I view the world and how people like me view the world, and hopefully we can influence others to adopt a little bit of our ways, just to balance things out a little, and also to empty that box in my mental space that where the ideas that have been sitting for a while, just to free up that space so that other thoughts can flourish there. And my favorite chapter would be the chapter on death. I will be talking more about that again in another post, because I just think it should be like death is something that we should be talking about, like not having a normal conversation about it. There's nothing morbid about it. It should be one of those topics that we talk all the time about, because it's something that is so sure. Nothing in life is sure as that death will come. So it's about just getting people comfortable with the idea, not really to love it or not have no special love for it, but just not to have that fear of discussing death, have that conversation with your friends, with your children, with your family. It's a natural part of life. It's very uncomfortable because we as humans, we come to love attachments. We've made attachments, and we're just that is how we build. That's in our DNA. So we don't want to discuss anything that have to do with any kind of ending. But the hope is that, what I talk about in the book is hoping to, to get the idea out that it is another form. It's a transition, basically. It's a transition. It's not the end, in a sense. Literally, it's the end of something. It's physically, the end of the person, the body and everything. But just look at it in a different light. The least favorite is about the economy. Having to lament about the economy. There's just no suitable solution in sight globally where that is concerned. So that would have to be my least favorite chapter, least favorite thing to discuss. And I hope readers take away from the book that basically everything is not for everybody. So it's for people who are genuinely interested in knowing how other people think in relation to their own perspective. And then they can get some insight on at least one particular type of people, a group of people with a certain personality trait, how we think, and can better relate to us, better connect with us, and better communicate. And that is what life is all about. We want to communicate well with people, we want to get along with them, we want to relate to them, we want to connect with them. I was inspired generally from just general love for reading and that sweet, satisfying feeling you get when you come across a perfect description of your thoughts written by a total stranger. That is just mind blowing, and it's so nice. You're like, oh yes, 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 yes. This is what I've been saying. This is what I mean. This is what It's very, very nice when you're reading a material and you come across something like that. It's so pleasant. It feels so good. So yes, that is all about the process, and that is all about the book. Hopefully sometime in the future I will be discussing each topic in the book, not for now, and we can go through that. But yeah, that is it. That's the whole thing. The process. Oh my God, it takes a lot of time. It definitely takes a lot of effort, and it takes some money. And as I said, writing it is one thing. Some days are good. Some days the thoughts are flowing, and you're just writing and you're writing and you're writing, and then you go back and you take it up. And basically, the whole process took 3 years. Each phase basically took a year. Pre-writing took about a year, and drafting to editing took another year, and editing to publishing took another year. But as I said, some days will be good. Sometimes they'll be blank, blank, blank. The infamous writer's block. Sometimes it just be blank. And some days it's like you can't stop writing. You can't stop writing. You're just writing. You're just writing. And with people who journal often, you know how good those days are. You just like everything, and you need to get it out. Trust me, you need to get those thoughts out, because they will be running up and down in your mind. It's sitting there. It's just like sitting there. It's like, oh my God, I need to get this out. You need to get this out. Have to put it on paper. But yeah, the process was nice. The writing part was nice, but getting it organized and getting it out, oh my God, you would think it was gonna be much easier, but it wasn't. Those parts when you have to be back and forth, the questionnaires and the forms you have to fill out, and the questions and all the logistics of the whole thing. The details. These are the things they're always telling you. The details, the details, the details. The fine lines will get you all the time. The fine lines gets you all the time. And you have to have a lot of patience, trust me. But yes, so that's it. Next week we will be talking about what will we be discussing next week? We will be talking about my vegetarian chronicles. So that's for next week. And just to don't forget, we exist to bear witness of each other's presence, and we do this every time we share our time, our effort, our energy, and our attention. And that is basically what we do when we share these things with people. You know, we basically bear witness to their existence, and they bear witness to our existence. That is what life is about. So until next week, let's close out with another song, artist that I really love, Nora Jones. Beautiful. And I'll see you.